All right, we're here in the wind, and we're going to try and do a rubbing of this stone and see if we can find out what it says. Oh, it's so tantalizing you can almost make out what it says. This is the only written record I can find that says anything about the stone. You'll find other records, but they all refer back to this one. And it's a history of sale from earliest times to the present day by N.V. Swain, Norman Swain. 2 ancient stones still exist at the edge of the footpath on Cross Street. The inscription can still be faintly made out. One of them near the Crossroads Public House reads County Palatine of Lancaster, and the other near the Royal Garage reads County Palatine of Chester, marking the limit of the distance from the bridge that Lancashire was responsible for keeping in repair. And we'll come back to that. But this is the only record we can find that talks about the stone. It's a real shame that there's no photo of it. There are photos in this book, but no photo of the stone. And that's the only record we have. So what does the stone say? Norman Swain says it reads, County Palatine of Chester. Let's see if we can prove that. So no doubt you've done this before. Everybody's done this before. Everybody did this in school. And it's a good way to read a headstone. If you can't read the headstone, this is a good way to see what it says. You'll see that all the letters come up, all the detail there can come out. Anyway, that's just me doing it quickly. So there you go, you can see all the writing on there. So this coin is a Canadian dollar, and it replaced the paper $1 bill, and its nickname is a loonie because it has a loon on it. I think you guys call it a northern diver. And shortly after the $1 coin came out, the $2 coin came out. And there was much debate on what we were going to call the $2 coin. And in contention was doubloony and toonie. And I rather like doubloony. I thought that was funny. But toonie won out. So the nickname for these coins is a loonie and a toonie. I believe it was Edgar Allan Poe that said, "Believe half of what you see and none of what you hear." Of course, as we were doing this, somebody came by with their own opinion and remembrance on what it said.
I've known it for years. It's got, you used to see it when you could read it, now you can't, can you?
Do you remember when you could read it?
I do, yes.
What did it say?
What did it say?
Well, it's the road to Chester, you know.
I'm including this just for a bit of fun. This is me having a go at carving some letters into stone at Manchester Southern Cemetery back in May, I think it was. And it's really interesting that the serifs, the little tiny fine bits at the tops of the letters, are the things that lasted. So I'm afraid our rubbing was a wash. There is nothing legible there. So let's try something else. So I tried bringing it into this Photoshop type software and played with the contrast and did an inversion on the photo and played with the contrast and the brightness and all different kinds of filters and things. And you get a little close, you start to figure out what it says. So I figured the best thing to do was take a bunch of different photographs from different angles with different lighting to see if I could figure out what it said in the computer. I think this one will help you see what it says best. Now, this font that I laid over this is not the exact same font, not even close really. But after looking at it from all the different angles, I'm pretty sure this is what it says. You can just make it out. And you can see the serifs on the letters, on a few of the letters really well. And of course the E in Palatine is missing. That bit of stone is chipped off. You can see the O quite well. And the top of the C and H of Chester are just visible, and the rest of the letters are below ground or have just been erased by time. It probably looked something like this back in the day. So I'm satisfied that the stone does indeed say County Palatine of Chester. So what's the big deal? Why would you even bother trying to prove that? Well, there's only one record of it, and you can't believe everything you read. No disrespect to Mr. Swain, but you can't trust everything you read. And as he says, you can faintly make it out. Well, is he 100% sure? Well, I'm 100% sure now. I'm very sure, 99.9% sure that it says County Palatine of Chester. So what's the big deal? Why continue on with this foolishness? It doesn't make sense. Why is there a County Palatine of Chester boundary stone where it is? It doesn't make sense. Let's go to a video, let's rewind to a video I made a couple of years ago and take a look and see what I'm saying about it there, and we'll come back in a minute. This is Cross Street, and this is Crossford Bridge, and right here, oh, this is interesting, BSS's. Those are boundary stones. In 1987, Norman Swain wrote, "Two ancient stones still exist at the edge of the footpath on Cross Street, and the faint inscriptions can still be made out. The one near the Crossfords pub reads, County Palatine of Lancaster, and the one near the garage reads, County Palatine of Chester. It's a good thing he wrote this when he did. The Crossfords pub wasn't much longer for this world." The Bridge Inn, where the short-lived Crossford pub was, now the site of TGI Fridays. In the left-hand corner, we can see 3 stones. I think the one on the far right would be the one Swain talked about that read County Palatine of Lancaster. And the one on the left, you can just make out the letters O-R-D. Stretford? Could this be the one Bill Sumner remembers? The Statute of Bridges of 1530 solved this. It made one of the counties, Lancashire in this case, responsible for maintaining the bridge and 100 yards of the road either end of it. So let's take a stroll back Cross Street where there's something very interesting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100. Bill Sumner was right. The boundary stone would have been around here somewhere. This has been identified as one of the boundary stones, and I think indeed it is a boundary stone, but not the one that would read County Palatine of Lancaster. This dotted line is a parish border, though I'm not sure what parish it would have been then. Ashton-upon-Mersey probably. And you can see there would be one on the other side for the bordering parish of Sale perhaps. It's too far away from the border to be a boundary stone for a county. So let's have a look at our maps. Here we can see Crossford Bridge and the boundary stones we talked about before. And down here is the stone in question. And as I mentioned, there is another stone on the other side of the road. Now I was thinking, I didn't know what parishes they were at the time. This dotted line is a parish border. So this is one parish and this is another parish. And strangely, this parish over here, I was fully expecting to see Bowden written on this stone because this is the parish of Bowden. And over here is the parish of Ashton-upon-Mersey. So that's a strange thing. But why would this be saying County Palatine of Chester? The Statute of Bridges talks about a county being responsible for the bridge 100 yards beyond the end of the bridge. Now this is about 100 yards from the bridge, this stone here, so I expected that to be the limit of Lancashire's responsibility. And of course there's the border of Lancashire and Cheshire. It jogs out from the Mersey, and that's all covered in the video, but it jogs out this way to make Lancashire responsible for the bridge and 100 yards beyond it, and this would be about 100 yards. This stone here is much farther than 100 yards, so why would it say County Palatine of Chester? It's in the County Palatine of Chester for sure, but why would there be a marker here? If we look on the nowadays map, Google Earth or Google Maps, this distance from the bridge to the Shell petrol station is 0.1 miles. And of course, 0.1 miles is 528 feet. That's almost 200 yards, which is very strange. Why would there be a boundary stone 200 yards from the border? Doesn't make any sense. My new mate John Harvey is very interested in this stone, and he has surmised that this might be the oldest thing in Sale. Now we know that's not so, right, John? Because we've found something, well, John's found something that's much older than this stone. Well, possibly. Let's have a look. The Statute of Bridges. Now, it's difficult to find the Statute of Bridges. I'm sure it's easy if you go and look for a paper of it, but here on Wikipedia is the best I can do for you right now. I followed all these links here and citations, but the Bridges Act 1530, sometimes called the Statute of Bridges, was an act of the Parliament of England. So anyway, it's all about borders and who's responsible for things and that kind of stuff. You'll find all kinds of mention about it online, talking about where a bridge or a river is a county border, and it makes one county responsible for the bridge. Lancashire, in our case, is responsible for Crossford Bridge. Crossford Bridge is in Lancashire. So, the question is, when did that happen? It says here, the Bridges Act, sometimes called the Statute of Bridges, 1530. There's no mention of 100 yards until you come down the Bridges Act 1803. The Bridges Act 1803 created some additional statutory provisions that had become necessary due to the affluence of time and events since the 1530 Act. This included giving statutory weight to the common law title of the key technical officials engaged for these functions by the Crown, namely the county surveyor of the county, responsible for the upkeep of subject bridges and the roads over them for 100 yards past the ends of the bridges. So the way I'm reading that is that 100-yard rule did not come into effect until 1803. Now, I could be wrong about that, but that's the way I'm reading this. There'd be no point in mentioning it in this section of the Act otherwise. Makes sense, right? So the question is, how old is the stone? If the 100-yard thing was in effect in 1530, it could be as old as 1530. If that portion of the law didn't come in till 1803, it could be as old as 1803. But I could be completely wrong about all of this. I'm just thinking out loud and doing the best research I can with what little information I have in front of me. But that's what the comment section is for. Fill your boots. Leave a comment and let me know what you think about all of this. And we'll see you in the next one.